Okay, so I'm basically halfway done cutting up. Here's something like this. This is about the size that I cut mine. You know, depending on your grinder, you're gonna have to get used to what your grinder can accept. The smaller you cut them, like I told you, the easier it's gonna go through the grinder. And if you look, look at the neck on the grinder, that's about 1.5 inches. That's probably about the size of a cube, and then, you have a little push tube here. If you cut them bigger than that, then you're gonna have to work harder and you're gonna have to push them through your grinder. Okay, and then also, like I said, it's just a lot easier if you cut them smaller. We have cut them bigger before, but it takes a little more time to cut them smaller, but it usually works out better. And also, I think you get the seasoning better. So basically, I'm halfway done. It took me about 20-25 minutes to do 2 of them out of the 4 that I'm doing. Here's what I'm left with. This is the bone out of a Boston butt. And some people can maybe get them cleaner than that. That's about as clean as I choose to get them. I don't really want to scrape the bone. I don't want the bone fragments in my meat. So that's usually about where I stop. And also, I told you, I'm not trimming out any fat. However, when you're cutting, there's some nastiness looking stuff in there. That's like some sort of a gland. And it's kind of off color. I don't know what it is, but I don't want it in my meat. The savings, I'm paying $1 a pound for this compared to $3 to $4 a pound in the store for breakfast sausage now. And so I can afford to be a little bit picky. Believe me, if this was in a packing house, that stuff right there would be going in it. Believe me, I've worked in them. Believe me, they would not throw that away. They would bone it, and they would throw the rest of it right on in there. Some of the and the other, so the fat is fine, and I'll keep talking a little bit more about that. You're actually going to need the fat if you're making breakfast sausage. This looks very fatty if you're used to looking at store-bought sausage, but here's what you got to understand: the packing houses and the stores, they're putting food coloring. There's a much more fat in it than what you realize because they're putting food coloring in it. If you have a problem with pork fat, or if you don't want to eat it due to your dietary restrictions, then you should not be eating breakfast sausage, period. You need a certain amount of fat in order for it to cook properly as traditional breakfast sausage. If you want to can it or cold pack it or use it in a recipe, then I would say maybe trim it. But if you're talking about breakfast patties, sausage patties or links or so forth, whatever you're going to use it for, you're going to need that fat in there. And believe me, even with this much, it would not surprise me when I'm cooking these in the skillet if I would even actually add some oil, some cooking oil to it for cooking. And that's fine. That's hard for people to believe until they see it, because you're used to buying Jimmy Dean sausage and so forth. But believe me, all that stuff, it's got way more fat in it than you realize because they're actually coloring it. Like I said, these are the knives that I use. These are like $5 a piece at Sam's Club, and you can probably get better knives. But I don't think you're going to get a better knife for $5. And it works well. Like I said, I cut these 2 up. They're taking me about 10-12 minutes each one. And as you do a lot of them, you'll get quicker and quicker at it. You can probably do one in about 5 minutes if you're practiced up, and you can chunk it up pretty quickly. Thank you, and I'll be back in a minute.